Hello students, good afternoon to all of you. I hope you will be fine at home. I welcome you in this lecture of power system instrumentation. This is of port number E311 and unit is 5 which is we are going to at end. This is the last lecture of this unit. We can say we are covering up our subject, that is the power system instrumentation, in this lecture. So topic which we are going to cover today is the last topic, that is power system instrumentation second, and the characteristics of instrument. This is a very good thing which we are going to cover today. So if I'm talking about my syllabus, so unit 1 totally deals with the errors. So in errors we studied about random errors, cross error, systematic error, environmental error, observation error, instrumental error, so many things we have. Then we have understood about the Gaussian curve, how can we make a curve with the help of so many readings. Then we can identify the accuracy and precision. We can also cover this thing in this lecture. Then we understood about the how can we calculate with the help of mean and deviation. So we having the mean, center value, and the deviation. So we having the arithmetic mean and the standard deviation and variance method. So we calculated by these all method in the unit number 1. Then we having the unit number 2 is basically very interesting unit. In that unit we understood about the component, element, particle of a system, or a thing basically which is used to conversion of one form of energy to another, is known as transducer. So in transducer we having two things. One is sensor, another one is the transaction element. So sensor basically senses form of the thing, and transaction basically convert into the another form. Okay, so a transducer is an instrument which convert the physical quantity, not limited to chemical, acoustic, biological, mechanical, temperature, displacement, pressure, all these things into the electrical or another. So that is known as electrical transducer. If I am converting into the electrical, another thing is transducer. So if I am talking about, my dear student, the transducer here, so transducer can be divided as per the characteristic or as per the types. So we are having primary and secondary, active and passive, analog and digital, and as per the transaction we are having capacitive, inductive, transductive, photoconductive, photovoltaic, isoelectric. Okay, then we having what? Then we having, as per the application, we having linear variable differential transducer, RVDT, thermocouple, thermistor, capacitance displacement we have in LVDT, inductive we having. Okay, we having the different type of thermocouples, strain gauges, resistors, temperature detectors, Hall effect for magnetic measurement, potentiometer pot, we having the pot in short form, resistance temperature detector we having, temperature detector means thermometer we having, RTD we having, temperature detector we having. So these all are basically we have understood in the unit number 2. Then in unit number 3 we having the signal conditioning. So signal conditioning is basically how can we condition the signal, change the signal as per our requirement, filter the signal. So in this we required basically the amplifiers. So first amplifier is the op-amp, that is operational amplifier, IC741, a 8-pin structure. Which type of structure we have? That is 8-pin structure we have. So 8-pin structure we have basically. So that 8-pin structure is basically gives 5 pin, having the 5 pins for proper utilization, 3 pins for non-utilization. So if I'm talking about the 5 pins for the utilization, that may be the input, inverting, non-inverting input. Then we're having the one output and two negative and positive voltage, and three are the not for the using, one for null side and two are for the one for the two for the null, no connection, one for the null side, yeah, offside. Then having the low high input gain and low output gain, efficient the impedance. So it having the high gain, so we can say it having the all characteristics of amplification or amplifier. And basically it is known as op-amp. Why it is known as op-amp? Because we can perform several operations like mathematical operations like adder, subtractor, integrator. Okay, and we having the differentiator, log, anti-log, logarithmic, anti-logarithmic, voltage follower, all these we can do. Then the application of this, we having the instrumentation amplifier, isolating amplifier, optical isolator, optocoupler, analog adder and subtractor, analog we can say multiplier and divider with Hilbert mixer we have, local oscillator we have. Afterwards we having the one more thing, that is the function generator, which gives the waveform into different output, different waveform in the output, like we can say sinusoidal, sine wave, we can say rectangular, okay, triangular and sawtooth. So which type of wave you can find is for the, we can say it as a function. So function in the form of high frequency or in the form of wave, we can uh, take as a output from the function. Again, it consists of integrator as a operation amplifier. Okay, then we having basically frequency to voltage converter, input frequency of the waveform converted to the output waveform with the voltage, and we having the voltage unit calibration. Then we having the frequency unit, active filters we have, and these we can done with the help of op amp, that is operational amplifier as an integrator. So I hope you understand about this. Then we having the basically temperature to current converter, then grounding, shielding we have. So this is all about the unit number 3. Then if I'm talking about the unit number 4, though, it deals with the power system instrumentation part 1. So that is comes from the basic thing, that is the voltage measurement. So voltage measurement we can do with the help of voltmeter, always connected across or in a parallel to a circuit where we want to calculate or measure the quantity. If I'm talking about the ammeter, though ammeter is used for the current measurement, always connect in a series. So parallel and series connection both we have, and they having the internal resistance. So if I'm talking about the ammeter, though having the parallel, and voltmeter having the series. So we having the we can say the rest they having the resistance infinite or zero respectively. So we can connect with the measuring circuit. So it gives the effect that is known as loading effect. That is known as loading effect. So several types of voltmeter ammeter we have, like we can say analog, so deflection, pointer, deflected or controlling torque we have, and digital we are using electronic composites like solid state components. So permanent magnet moving coil, analog, moving iron, analog we have. We understood all this. Multimeter we can use for this analog and digital form used in binary. So these we have understood in the unit number 4, first part. Then we having the power, like different type of power means active, reactive, apparent. So we having three powers, means complex power in AC. We can also write an expression like X is equals to P plus GQ. So S is apparent, P is active, and Q is reactive. So we can understand how can we measure it. Then afterwards we having the instrument which we are using for the measurement of voltage, frequency, time delay, and phase. That is known as CRO. So CRO is a cathode ray oscilloscope in which the CRT is a mean heart, then deflecting plates horizontal and vertical, then focusing anode is there. We having the cathode, basically the electron gun, which is heated by the heater and gives the ions which is moved and focused by the anode to be horizontal and vertical. So they place like this and like this. So they make a V. They make a deflection on it. So we can see in a form of waveform at the output. So CRO, it's a cathode ray oscilloscope. So by the waves we can calculate the voltage. By the angle we are getting the phase. By the we can say base we are getting the time. If we are getting the time, so we can also calculate the frequency, because frequency is inversely proportional to the time. So we'll get the frequency, time, phase, and voltage easily measured with the help of cathode ray oscilloscope. Next, we having the afterward we having the energy meter. So we having the spatial energy meter, we having the tariff part energy meter. We can measure the tariff, and we having the we can say the energy meter basically. So we having two types of energy meter, analog and digital. If I'm talking about the analog, we having the induction type, induction disk type, and we having the digital type. Though we are using solid state component like microprocessor based, microcontroller based. Uh, we having used diode and all these things, SCR diode in this. So that is basically what we can say. It is basically the electronic and digital energy meter. Then we having the unit number 5, that is the last unit, power system instrumentation number 2nd. In this we are going to we have studied the first part, that is CVT, capacitive voltage transfer. For high voltage, or we can say 230 kilovolt, we use CVT, that is capacitive voltage transformer. In this we can deal with the transient response also. So in this capacitive voltage transformer, we having two capacitor and one inductor. So they work for the stack, they work for the wave trap, power line carrier communication, and frequency purpose. They work because capacitor gives you the X is equals to 1 upon omega c. We can say 1 upon 2 pi f. So it gives high capacitance or impedance to the low frequency and low impedance to the high frequency. So an inductor do the opposite manner. XL is equals to omega L. So XL is equals to 2 pi fl. So XL is proportional to the frequency we have. I hope you understand. So frequency we having, so XL is equals to omega L. So XL will give the low impedance to the low frequency, high impedance to the high frequency. So I hope you understand. Now then we having the instrument transformer. So if I am talking about the instrument transformer, though we having two types, Potential measurement means voltage measurement and current measurement. So if I am talking about the voltage measurement, though we having the potential transformer, that is a step down transformer, having the voltmeter and having the relay, production and measurement and controlling here. Then if I'm talking about the current transformer, though it measures the current of higher rating, it is like a step up transformer, few turns on single, full turns on primary, large turns on a secondary. So in opposition of that, the opposite construction we have, reverse construction we have for potential transformer. Primary having the large number of winding turns and secondary having the few number of turns. And we connect a voltmeter in a parallel and ammeter in a series. So these are the different types of instrument transformers we have. We have understood about the working of them. Then we having the basically all these three instruments, because capacitive voltage transformers are also part of instrument transformer, but it comes in the category of PT, potential transformer. So we'll deal with the three, the difference and the basically the comparison between all these three. Then we understood about the composite errors. So in this composite error, we are having so many errors, which you have already discussed in the unit number 1. But how can we take place? How can they take place? So we have understood in the previous lecture. Now in this lecture, what I want to tell you or what I want to deliver you, my dear student, is the characteristics of instrument. So the objective to deliver this lecture is have the learner, means you student, to understand the basics of characteristics of instrument. Basics, what are the basics through which we are making the characteristic. And secondly, understand the detailed theory and types of characteristics of instruments. So we are going to cover this all in this lecture. Now, characteristics of instruments. So we are having two types of characteristic: static characteristic and dynamic characteristic. Static characteristic and dynamic characteristic we need static characteristic of instrument and dynamic characteristic of instrument. These are the characteristic we have in an instrument. So taking one by one, first is your static characteristic. Now the static characteristic of an instrument are required to be considered for the instrument which measures basically which measures unvarying process conditions. So the static characteristic of an instrument are required to consider for the instrument which measures unvarying process condition. Unvarying process condition we have. Secondly, we having the static characteristic are defined for the instrument which measures quantities which do not vary with the time. Now the static characteristic are defined for the instrument which measures quantities which do not vary with the time we have. I hope you understand. Now if I am talking about the static characteristic, static characteristic. So my dear student, we are having 14 things we have. First is the accuracy, second is the sensitivity, third is the reproducibility, fourth is the drift, fifth is the static error, sixth is the dead zone, seventh is the precision, eighth is the threshold, ninth is the linearity, 10th is the stability, 11th is the range or span, 12th is the bias, 13th is the tolerance, and 14th is the hysteresis. So taking one by one, now first is accuracy. Now we can say accuracy, it is a degree of closeness with which an instrument reading approaches the true value of quantity being measured. It is a degree of closeness with which an instrument reading approaches the true value of quantity being measured. That is accuracy. Secondly, the accuracy of a measurement indicates the nearness to the actual or true value of the quantity. Nearness to the actual or true value of the quantity we have. So here we are showing the accuracy, not accurate and precision. It is accuracy in the figure, accurate and not precise, not accurate and not precise, out of it. So this is the accuracy. Next we having the sensitivity. Now the sensitivity word is came from the sensitive or sensitiveness. So sensitivity is the ratio of change in output of an instrument to change in input. If I am changing in input, so it gives you the change in output. So that is the sensitivity. Now the manufacturer specifies the sensitivity as a ratio of magnitude of the measured quantity to the magnitude of response. Now the manufacturer specified the sensitivity as the ratio of magnitude of the measured quantity to the magnitude of the response we have. This ratio is called as inverse sensitivity or deflection ratio. We can also call it as inverse sensitivity or deflection factor. Now we can find here. Now see, it is showing you a diagram Q naught or QEA, and input and output we are having. So it is we are having like a linear, but here having some deflection. So we can calculate like this: infinite decimal change in output, infinitesimal change in input. So del Q naught upon del QI. Q naught is the output, QI is the input. So changes we are. I hope you understand. Now sensitimeter. So we having sub sensitimeter available in the market through which we can change this, we can check the sensitivity. So these are the sensitivity meter, or we can say the sensitive measuring, the measuring instrument which measures the sensitivity. Del Q not upon del Q. I hope you understand. Now afterward we having the reproducibility. The word reproducibility is come from reproduce. So reproducibility is defined as a degree of closeness by which a given value can be repeatedly measured. Reproducibility is defined as a measure of closeness by which a given value can be repeatedly measured. Secondly, the reproducibility is specified for a period of time. It is specified for a period of time. We can say it is not fixed, it is specified for a, it is fixed for a, we can say for a period of time. Now, the perfect reproducibility signifies that the given readings that are taken for input do not vary with the time. The perfect reproducibility signifies that the given readings that are perfect taken for an input do not vary with the time. Now we can also identify the reproducibility here. We having the systematic error, we having the frequency curve, like the Gaussian curve, we having the measurement value, we having these also. Reproducibility is represented by the R. And different measurement system we having here, mu R and mu R we can say the repeatability. So same frequency, same measurement system and short time we have. Okay, but in reproducibility we having the higher. So this can we find with the reproducibility. I hope you understand. Now, drift. Fourth, having the drift. Now, drift is defined as a gradual shift in the indication over a period of time wherein the input variable does not change. The drift is defined as a gradual shift in the indication over a period of time wherein the input variable does not change. Okay. Now, drift may be caused because of environmental factors or environment factors like stray electric fields, stray magnetic fields, thermal electromotive force or electron motion force, changes in the temperature changes, mechanical vibration we have, etc. So drift is classified into three categories: zero drift, span drift or sensitivity drift, and zonal drift. So drift are categorized into three things: zero drift, span drift or sensitivity drift, and zonal drift we have. Now fifth is the static error. We are having the static error. So it is a deviation from the true value of the measured variable. It is what? It is a deviation from the true value of the measured variable we have. It involves the comparison of an unknown quantity with an accepted standard quantity. So it is a deviation from the true value of the measured variable. It involves the comparison of an unknown quantity with an accepted standard quantity. The degree to which an instrument approaches to its accepted value is expressed term of error of measurement. The degree to which an instrument approaches to its expected value is expressed terms of error of the measurement we have. I hope you understand about the static error. Next, we are having the dead zone. It is the largest change of input quantity for which there is no output. It is the largest change of input quantity for which there is no output. Means in our input, I am changing a largest change. I am making a largest change. So through this, we are not getting an output. That is dead zone. The word dead zone. Okay. For example, I am taking the input that is applied to an instrument may not be sufficient to overcome friction. The input I am giving to the system is not capable or sufficient to overcome the friction. So it will only respond when it overcomes the friction forces. It will respond when overcome the friction. So it is a dead time. It is not working. But after that we are having the dead zone, dead time. After that it will work. So we can identify with the curve or graph showing below this one. So see this, we are having the measurement variable, measurement reading, dead zone, dead time, dead time we have. I hope you understand. Now moving forward, that is seventh, precision. So I already told you in the unit number 1, it is a measure of the reproducibility. It is a measure of reproducibility of the measurement that is given a fixed value of variable. That is given a fixed value of a variable we have. Now the precision is a measure of the degree. Precision is a measure of the degree to which successive measurement differs from the each other. Precision is a measure of the degree to which successive measurements differ from each other. For example, consider an instrument on which reading can be taken up to 1 by 100 of the unit. 1 by 100 of the unit. The instrument has zero adjustment error. So when we take a reading, the instrument is highly precise. When we take the reading, the instrument is highly precise. However, as the instrument has a zero adjustment error, the readings obtained are precise, but they are not accurate. Reproducibility is there, but they are not accurate. Thus, when a set of readings show precision, the results agree among themselves. However, it is not essential that the results are accurate. However, this is not essential. It is not essential that the results are accurate. Now, the precision measuring instruments we have. Now, the precision measuring instruments we have. These are the precision measuring instruments we have. These are the instruments which we are using for the precision measurement. So these are the instruments which we can use easily for the precision measurement. Now I hope you understand. Now moving forward, threshold. Now the threshold is the smallest measurable input. Threshold is what? Threshold is the smallest measurable input below which no output change can be identified. Now threshold is the smallest measurable input below which no output change can be identified. We are not getting, we can say it is the threshold, the smallest measurable input below which no output change can be identified. We cannot find the output change can be identified. While specifying the threshold, manufacturers we can say, while specifying the threshold, manufacturers give the first detectable output change. While specifying threshold, manufacturers give the first detectable output change we have. Okay, I hope you understand. Now after this we are having the linearity. Now the linearity word came from the linear. So linearity is defined as the ability of an instrument to reproduce its input linearly. Now the linearity is defined as the ability of an instrument to reproduce its input linearly. Linearly, a line form. The linearity word came from line. So line we have linearly we have in a form of line, we can say. Now the linearity is simply a measure of the maximum deviation of the calibration points from ideal straight line. So linearity is simply a measure of the maximum deviation of the calibration points from the ideal straight line we have. Now the linearity is defined as the linearity is equals to maximum deviation of output from idealized straight line over actual lines. Now the linearity is defined as the linearity is equals to maximum deviation of output from idealized straight line oblique actual readings. We have linearity. Now it is look like this. Now the most instruments are specified to function over a particular range, and the instruments can be said to be a linear when incremental change in the input and output are constant over a specified range. So we are seeing it is linear. It is also linear, but after it is equivalent, then it is some linearity we can see. So three graphs I am showing you here. Through this we can identify the most instrument, we can say the most instrument in a linear form for having the linearity, for the linearity characteristic we have of instrument. So instrument we are having which having the linear form. So most instrument for the linearity we can say are specified to function over a particular range, and the instruments can be said to be linear when incremental changes in the input and the output are constant over the specified range. I hope you understand. Now the stability, the ability of an instrument to retain its performance throughout its specific storage life. You can say the ability of an instrument to retain its performance throughout its specified storage life or operating life is called as stability. The word stability came from stable. So stability came from the stable word. So stable is there. Now stability measurement instruments we have like this. Now stability measurement instrument we have like this. You can find a laptop in this. We having the program setup, and this is the stability measurement instrument we have. So the ability of an instrument to retain its performance throughout specified storage life and operating life is called the stability. And the stability word is came from stable. So stable comes from give the stability. So stability measure instrument we are showing, we are find the below, we are find here. So I hope you understand. Now the range or span. If I'm talking about the range or span, my dear student, if I'm talking about the range or span, okay, so we can say what, the minimum and maximum values of a quantity, the minimum and the maximum values of a quantity for which an instrument is designed to measure, the minimum and maximum values of a quantity for which an instrument is designed to measure is called its range or span. Means for example, I'm using a meter which ranges from 0 to 250 ampere. So the specified range is 0 to 250, means 250 is there, and maximum we can say 250, minimum is 0. So we can say 250 minus 0, we having 250. Sometimes the accuracy is specified in terms of range or span of an instrument. So we can find here the transfer function, span and full scale point. So output and span we having. So specified accuracy limit we can find here. The real transfer, the transfer function curve we can see here, transfer function, and alternate transfer function curve we having the we can say the straight line in the color of red, and in the color of blue we are having the real transfer function curve, and we can say the specified accuracy limit we can find here. That is that you know to buy in a two lines. So I hope you understand about range or span. I hope you understand about range and span. We having, then we having what, bias. We having the bias, the constant error which exists over the full range of measurement. The constant error which exists over the full range of measurement of an instrument is called bias. We can say the constant error which exists over the full range of measurement, giving the full range of measurement of an instrument is called bias. It's called what? Bias. Such a bias can be completely eliminated by calibration. We can calibrate with the other instrument. So such a bias can be completely eliminated by calibration here. The zero error is an example of bias. The zero error is an example of bias which can be removed by calibration. The zero error is an example of bias which can be removed by calibration. It can be easily removed by the help of calibration. So I hope you understand about bias. Next we are having the tolerance. It is the maximum allowable error that is specified in terms of certain value. While measurement, it is called a tolerance. So we can say it is the maximum allowable error we can allow the error that is specified in terms of certain value while measurement, certain value while we have the measurement, it is called as tolerance. It specifies the maximum allowable deviation of the manufactured device from a mentioned value. Specified means, uh, for example, a voltmeter is given to that it can tolerate up to, if I am talking about the temperature, tolerate up to 50 degree centigrade, but you are using in a 65 degree times centigrade. So 50 to 65 degree is the tolerance. It's deviation. Yeah. I hope you understand. Then we having the hysteresis. So we can say the hysteresis phenomena we can find in electrical instrument. So hysteresis is a phenomena which depicts, which basically do what, which depicts different output effects while loading and unloading. So hysteresis is a phenomena which depicts different output effects while loading and unloading we have in an instrument. For instrument we have, the hysteresis take place due to the fact that all the energy put in the stress part. Hysteresis take place due to the fact that all the energy put into the stress parts, stressed, we having the stress applied the force stress part when loading is not recoverable, when loading is not recoverable while unloading. So hysteresis takes place due to the fact that all the energy put into the stress parts when loading is not recoverable while unloading we have. Now, when the input of an instrument is varied from 0 to its full scale, when the input of an instrument is varied from 0 to its full scale, and then if the input is decreased from its full scale value to 0, then the output varies. And what? The output varies we have. The output at the particular input while increasing and decreasing varies because of internal friction or hysteric damping. Hysteresis is a phenomenon which depicts different output effects while loading and unloading we have. Hysteresis take place due to the fact that all the energy put into the stress parts while loading, when loading is not recoverable while unloading, okay, not recoverable while unloading we have. When the input of instrument is varied from 0 to its full value, when the input of instrument is varied from 0 to its full scale, we can say full value, and then if the input is decreased from its full scale value to 0, decrease from its full scale value to 0, the output varies. What happens? The output varies. The output at the particular input while increasing and decreasing varies because of internal friction or hysteric damping. Because of internal friction or hysteric damping we have. I hope you understand. Now we can find here. Now hysteresis drop due to Coulomb friction. Hysteresis hysteresis loop due to viscous friction. So typical output input curve showing we can say the hysteresis effects we have. Now Q mean, Q naught 2, Q naught 1 we having. The decreasing input we having, the increasing input we having. The idealized straight line we having like this, but we having the loop. Like this we having the hysteresis. So similar to that, we can find the viscous friction, or we can say magnetic field there is a hysteresis. So in hysteresis, we can find it is a reversal of magnetism. So in magnetic field, we can find a magnetism, a reversal of magnetism known as BH curve, or we can say the hysteresis curve. In that curve, we can find like this. In this starting, if I'm talking about the ferromagnetic metal, if I'm giving a supply to that ferromagnetic metal, and before I'm not giving a supply. So if I'm not giving a supply, so all the ions are in the scattered form, dispersed, scattered, spread here and there. After applying the current with the help of coil bearing, so they comes along with the same direction with the alignment, that it becomes the, you can say, knee point, then magnetizing. So after saturation occurs, what happens? Saturation occurs. If we apply more than the saturation, though we having the demagnetization, we can say the reversal of magnetization. That is the hysteresis. So similar to that, we having the hysteresis in the characteristic of the instrument we have. So here I am showing you the hysteresis slope due to the Coulomb friction. Secondly, I am showing the hysteresis slope due to viscous friction. So here the straight line is the idealized. We can say the idealized straight line is the straight line. Low velocity we are having this curve, high velocity we are having this curve, but we are having the increasing then decreasing. So after the saturation we are having the decreasing. So I hope you understand. Here after the saturation we are again. So I think so you have understood about this hysteresis. Now, second characteristic, that is a very most important characteristic, is dynamic characteristic. It's what? The dynamic characteristic. The instrument rarely respond to the instantaneous changes in the measured variables. Their response is slow or sluggish. We can say that instantaneous changes we have. So to these changes, we can say the instrument give you the response directly, fastly. So it is really response. Now their response is slow or sluggish. Their response is slow or sluggish due to mass thermal capacitance. Due to what? Mass thermal capacitance, electrical capacitance, inductance, etc. Sometimes even the instrument has to wait for some time till the response occurs. What happens? The response occurs. These type of instruments are normally used for the measurement of quantities that fluctuate within the time. These types of instruments are normally used for the measurement of quantity that fluctuate with time. We can say the behavior of such a system. We can say the behavior of such a system, whereas the input varies from the instant to the instant, the output also varies from instant to instant, is called a dynamic response of the system. Now we can say dynamic response is basically based on time. Means instantaneous changes we having. So at that changes, the instrument also give you the output or input. Input changes means it gives you the output where the changes exist and how much the changes exist. So similar to that, we are getting the output very fastly, very rapidly. So that is the dynamic behavior of the system. Is also important as a static behavior. So I hope you understand static characteristic and dynamic characteristic. Now, the dynamic inputs are of two types. First is the transient, another one is the steady state periodic. So transient and steady state periodic. So we have the transient response. So transient response is defined as a part of the response which goes to zero as the time becomes large. Transient response is defined as that part of the response which goes zero as the time becomes large. So it goes zero when the time becomes large. So it's going to zero when time is becoming the large. I hope you understand, my dear student. Now, the steady state response is the response that has a definite periodic cycle. The steady state response is the response has a definite periodic cycle, but transient it doesn't have the definite periodic cycle. Now, the variation in the input that are used practically to achieve dynamic behavior are step input and ramp input. So, step input, if I am talking about, the input is subjected to a finite and instantaneous changes, like example closing of switch, closing, closing, opening, closing, opening, closing, opening, closing. So, we are changing the instantaneous changes we have. So, that is the step. Next, we are having the ramp input. The input linearly changes with the respect to time. I am giving the input with changing with respect to time. And step input we having closing of switch, means subject to finite and instantaneous changes we have. So I have to understand. Now after this parabolic input, I am talking about the parabolic input. So the input varies. The input varies to the square of the time. This represents constant acceleration. A square we can say. So if I am talking about the parabolic, so we can say y square is equals to 4ax. So in the square, varies in the square. So the input varies to the square of the time. That this represents constant acceleration. E square we have constant acceleration. Then we have the sinusoidal input or sin input. The input changes in the function of accordance with the sinusoidal constant amplitude. The input changes in the function of accordance with a sinusoidal constant input amplitude we have. Now the dynamic characteristic of our measurement system are having the speed of response, the response we are getting the speed, fidelity, lagging, and dynamic error. We having the dynamic characteristic of measure system are four things we having. First is the speed of response, so taking one by one. Now the speed of response. It is defined as the rapidity with which an instrument responds to change in the measured quality. It is defined as the rapidity or rapid, fast with which an instrument responds to change in the measured quantity we have. It shows how active and the fast system is. Speed measuring instrument is like this. We can say here it is showing where tachometer is also used for the electrical measurement. So we having the speed of response. Second is the fidelity. Now it is defined as a degree to which a measurement system is capable of faithfully. It is defined as a degree to which our measurement system is capable of faithfully reproducing the changes in input. Faithfully reproducing the changes in input without any dynamic error. We have. Now the lag. Every system requires own time to respond to the changes in input. This time is called as lag. It is defined as a retardation or delay in this response of a system to the change in the input. These the lags are of two types: retardation lag and time delay. As soon as there is a change in our measured quantity, the measurement system begins to respond. The time delay came from the word time. Delay we have it. So we having the delay of time we have it. In this we can find the time delay of the time we can easily find. So the response of the measurement system starts after that time. The response of a measurement system starts after that time. Once the input is applied, they cause dynamic error. I hope you understand. Now the dynamic error. It is the difference between the true value of the quantity that is to be measured, changing with the time, and the measured value if no static error is. So we can say the it is the difference or change between the true value of the quantity, which that is to be measured, changing with the time, and the measured value we have if no static error is assumed, if we are not assuming any static error. So I hope you understand about this thing. Then if I'm talking about the one thing, that is the characteristics, we having 14 characteristics. Now see the 14 characteristic. First we having the static and dynamic. So if I am talking about the two characteristics, so static characteristic and dynamic. So static doesn't change with the time, and dynamic change with respect to time. These are the static characteristic. The static characteristic of an instrument are required to be considered for the instrument which measures unvarying process conditions. The static characteristics are defined for the instrument which measures quantities which do not vary with the time. Okay. 14 characteristics we have: accuracy, sensitivity, reproducibility, drift, static error, dead zone, precision, threshold, linearity, stability, range of span, bias, tolerance, and hysteresis. So 14 characteristic of static we have. Afterwards, we having the dynamic characteristics. Having what? The dynamic characteristic we having. So instruments are really respond to the instantaneous changes in the measured variables. Their response is slow or sluggish due to mass thermal capacitance, electrical capacitance, inductance. In a electrical circuit we have, etc. We have. Sometimes even the instrument has to wait for some time till the response occurs. So these type of instruments are normally used for the measurement of quantity that fluctuates with time. The behavior of such a system, whereas the input varies from instant to instant, the output also varies from instant to instant, is called a dynamic response of the system, changes with respect to time. Hence, the dynamic behavior of a system is also important as a static behavior. Now, the dynamic inputs are of two types: transient and steady state. Transient and steady state we have. Okay, step, ramp, parabolic, and sinusoidal. If I am talking about the dynamic characteristics of measurement, so four things are there: speed of response, fidelity, lag, and dynamic. I hope you understand about these all. Then we having the multiple choice question related to this. So which of the following is caused by carelessness? So we having the we can say these are the options we have. Okay. So systematic error we having, gross error, random error. So none of the above. So we can say systematic error here. Our system will be error free if we remove all systematic. It is false. This standard is fixed for the industrial laboratory, so we have the standard fixed by the we can say body. Which of the following is not a fundamental quantity? So we have the length, angle, time. So intensity we have. How systematic errors are limited? Frequent measurement we have, finding variance of reading, finding means of reading we have, replacement of the instrument we have. So we can see which type of we having. So replacement we having. Another we having there, if instrument is used in a wrong manner while application, that it will result in which error? Systematic error, instrumental error, random error, or environmental error. So option is B, that is instrumental error. Random errors the major system are due to environmental changes, use of uncalibrated instrument, poor cabling practices, unpredictable effects. Option is D, unpredictable effects. The error between finite data set and the means of infinite data set is known as true error of the mean, finite error, standard error of the mean, and infinite error. So option is C. We can say standard error of the mean. The undesirable characteristic of a measuring system are drift, dead zone, non-linearity, all of these. So all of these we already studied. The magnitude of the error can be negative, positive, it is false. Never. Okay. So these are the references from which I took some material to deliver this lecture, and these are the very good books. So electrical and electronics measurement and measuring instrument A.K. Sani. Again, I am telling you it is a Bible by the Indian author. So you can understand and read all the component. It is available in our library. It is of Dhanpatra and Sons publication. Then we have the R.H. Saini and Ellie Foster, Instrumentation for Engineer Measurements, Johnny Williamson. It is by the international author, good book, having good content. A course in electronics and electrical measurements and instrumentation by J.B. Gupta, Kataria publication. Again, a very good book. Electrical measurements and measuring instrument by Rajesh Prasad of Khanna publisher. Having good content of international author, good content, good book is this. This one is a good book available in our library. You can just go and read it whenever you can able to. A.S. Morris, again an international author, Principles of Measurement Instrumentation. So we can say it is a very good book of front test. So I hope you understand about this thing. So thank you from my side for patience listening. I hope you understand about this lecture which I delivered basically to you for we can say what for the purpose I am delivering this lecture to you, my dear student. It is totally based on the instrumentation characteristics we have. So I hope you understand about this thing. So thank you from my side for patience listening. I hope you understand about this thing. Hope you understand about this whole thing. That is the one thing I want to tell you. That is the one thing we having. That is your what? That is your basically characteristics of instrument we have. Characteristics of instrument we have, and in this the characteristic we having the static or dynamic. So static we use for what? The static we use for the static it does not change with respect to time. If I'm talking about the dynamic, so dynamic is basically based on change of the time we have. Okay. Then we having the static characteristic does not base with time. Accuracy, sensitivity, reproducibility, drift, static error, dead zone, precision, threshold, linearity, stability, range of strain, bias, tolerance, and hysteresis we have. Then we having the accuracy. True value we having, then precision. Sensitivity we have. It is a graph showing the sensitivity. Sensitivity we can find in a market, which we use for this measurement for the measurement of sensitivity. Then we having the reproducibility. How can we do it? Then we having this graph showing you this thing. Drift we having three drifts we having zero, span drift or zonal drift. Then we having the static error. Dead zone it is looking in it is we can find in a figure. Then we having the precision. Then we having the precision measuring instruments. Threshold we having. Linearity it is from the line you can find in this graph. Okay, it is look like this. Then we having the stability word came from stable. Measuring instrument is showing in the figure. Then we having the range or span. Okay, minimum or maximum value we have. Then we having the bias. Then we having the tolerance. Word came from tolerance we having. Instrument possesses this thing. The hysteresis we have. Phenomena we having. You can find the hysteresis in the Coulomb's friction. To Coulomb's friction and due to viscous friction we have. Now next we having the dynamic test. It is basically we can say based on time. It can change or we having the based on time. So these type of instruments are normally used for the measurement of quantity that fluctuate within the time with the time. So the behavior of such a system, whereas the input varies from the instant, the output also varies from instant to instant, is called a dynamic response of a system. So it is very good. Why I am repeating this thing? Because I have to tell you about the dynamic response. That is comes in the, basically we can say, the transient response, also known as transient response. So hence the dynamic behavior of system is also important as a static. So dynamic inputs are of two types, transient and steady state. So transient response is defined as the part of the response which goes to zero as the time becomes large, and the steady state response is the response that has the definite periodic cycle. The variation in input that are used practically to achieve dynamic behavior are step input and ramp input, and parabolic input and sinusoidal input. The dynamic characteristic of a measurement system are speed of response, fidelity, lag, and dynamic error. Where in the speed of response, we can measure with the respect to time. Speed of response, it is defined as the rapidity or fastness or fast with which an instrument responds to the change in the measured quantity. It shows how active and fast the system is. Speed is this the speed measuring instrument we have, fidelity we have, lag we having, dynamic error we having. Now these are the MCQ which we have already discussed. These are the some multiple choice question we have. Then we are having again multiple choice question with answers. We already discussed. Now these are the reference books available in our library, and you can also refer this all thing for the better understanding and understand about the topics, and because all books having good topics in it, good content, so you can go through it. So this is all about from my side. I hope you understand about this, the characteristics of instrument. I hope you understand, my dear student. So I hope you better understand. So this is all about from my side. So thank you for patience listening. I hope you understand about